Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Georgie Oven, the Program Delivery Coordinator here at the Australian Academy of Technological Sciences Engineering, also known as ATSE. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands from where I'm joining today, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I would like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, as well as to acknowledge the traditional owners of whatever country you are joining us on today. As we come together to share and discuss our knowledge and experience, we also recognise the traditional knowledge and the deep history of Australia's First Peoples as the world's oldest surviving culture and Australia's first scientists and technologists. Before we get on to today's webinar, I would like to start with a little bit of housekeeping. We would like to remind all attendees that they've agreed to abide by ATSE's Code of Conduct, including as you enter your questions into the Q&A channel. This webinar will be recorded and the recording will be made available on ATSE's YouTube channel shortly after today's session. We're also happy to send that link through to all registrants. Captions are enabled today, so if you do require them, they should pop up at the bottom of your screen. As the session progresses, the feedback surveys will be shared in the chat. Please take a moment to complete them. We are also very keen for this to be an interactive session, so please be sure to submit your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen at any point during the webinar. This wonderful webinar series is brought to you by ATSE's National STEM Education Initiative, STELLA, which is designed to engage young people, enrich STEM learning at school by using hands-on, curriculum-aligned resources to explore the principles of sustainability and renewable energy. We have over 280 lessons and over 100 hands-on activities to use in the classroom. You can find out more by visiting stella.org.au. Before I hand over to today's moderator and brilliant panellists, I just thought I'd share a little bit about me. My journey started at ATSE 4.5 years ago, actually with the Stella program. I was involved in the establishment and running of the Shape Your Future series in 2021 at the height of the COVID lockdowns. Since then, I've been part of the Elevate Boosting Diversity in STEM Scholarship program and now work with a number of different programs across ATSE, including our Global Diplomacy Fund and the Global Connections Fund programs. A shameless spruik for those programs, information about all of them can be found on our website. I attended university in Victoria at Victoria Uni and completed a Bachelor of Business and Hospitality and Tourism, not your traditional science path. I was an event manager in the hospitality sector up until I was on parental leave after I had my children, and I came back into the workforce as a project coordinator and an accidental science supporter. I've worked with quite a few programs across the years at the Australian Academy of Science and at Science and Technology Australia before ending up here at ATSE. The theme for today's session is From Soil to Industry, Careers Unlocking Earth's Natural Resources. It's an exciting chance for us to help you explore the many pathways and career opportunities available for students in the sectors like mining, agriculture, and we have some incredible panellists joining us today just to do that. With that, it's now my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our first speaker and ATSE Fellow, Dr. Angeline Acharya. A pathfinding leader in the agri-food sector, Dr. Acharya is enhancing Australia's reputation as a leading value-added agricultural producer and food manufacturer through her work. She's transformed the interface between academia, industry and government, spearheading the commercialisation of over 1,200 innovations globally across value-added products, processes and new business models through innovation. She's worked across large multinational companies and high-growth startups and has advised state and federal government decision-makers. Angeline was pivotal in establishing the world-first Food Innovation Centre, a collaboration between industry and government now based at Monash University. She champions gender equality as chair of the Australian chapter of the G100 Mission Million for Food Systems, Innovation and Resilience, an influential group of women leaders establishing an inclusive approach to gender empowerment across the agri-food system. Angeline serves on public and private boards and senior advisor at Beanstalk AgTech. Beyond boardrooms, Angeline is an international speaker, a LinkedIn global top voice for her leadership and influence. Angeline's journey is an inspiration and a testament to the transformative power of collaborative passion, leadership, and dedication to a more connected, sustainable world. Angeline, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Georgie, and good morning, everybody. I think I can still say good morning. So welcome, everybody, to all the students, the educators, and the members of the community that are joining us today. I'd like to begin acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands where I am today, which is the land of the Boonwurrung people from the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I would like to extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, as well as to the traditional owners of whatever country you're joining us from today. Please deliver this as how you know. And so thank you very much for that. It's great to be here talking to you about careers that utilize Earth's resources. We sit here on one planet, we only have one option as of today, and how important it is for today's world in meeting the global challenges of tomorrow. So the world's population keeps growing, the demand for food, for energy, for resources keeps skyrocketing, and the need for sustainable solutions to harness the meeting of these Earth's resources is never been greater than ever before. And careers, across mining and agriculture are always at the forefront of innovation. We're driving advancements in technology, in sustainability, as well as in resource management. And there are so many different career paths to get you there, and we'll share some of those with you today. So I'm very excited to join with my fellow panelists today, Ishmael Gotur and Associate Professor Kim Johnson, who will showcase the vast opportunities that are available for students as you think about picking those, subjects, but also those choices in terms of what we chose and what got us to where we are today. But before I introduce them, let me take a minute to also share a little bit about my work and the path that I took to get here. And Georgie did a fantastic job of sharing a little bit about my experience. But I'm sharing this slide, and behind me you can see there's three real simple words. It's life, it's culture, and connection. And this really is what led me to choose the career that I did. So indulge me a little bit. The last time you sat down to enjoy a meal, hopefully it was your breakfast, did you wonder who made it possible? Was it the farmer who grew all of those ingredients that you were consuming? Was it the food industry who then goes and gets those ingredients and produces and manufactures it and distributes it through to us? Or was it the chef or the cook who prepared it for you? Food isn't something we just eat. It's the foundation of exactly that, life, culture, and connection. And behind every meal or every drink that you consume is a very global and very complex food system. And it's one I've actually dedicated my whole career to transforming. So when people ask me what my role is today, I say my role is to feed Australia and the world with foods that are good for us as well as for the planet. But usually, we kind of sit there and go, is it about lots and lots of food? Well, it's not. It's actually about quality, it's about safety, it's about sustainability, and it's about innovation. And so it all started when I used to spend a lot of my school holidays at my family's sugarcane plantations. I grew up and I was born in Fiji before my parents migrated here. And that really got me so curious about food and agriculture and how things came to be, And I think that curiosity got me to really asking the question, how does food become food and drink become drink, from farm all the way to factory to people's mouths at the end of the day? So it got me through, school and university. And in uni, I actually went to study a Bachelor of Science, and I had three options that I could choose. And one of them was food science and technology. Of course, I loved eating, so it was a no-brainer to pick that. And the other advice I had was from my dad, who said, Ange, pick food because everybody needs to eat and you'll always have a job in that space. I went on then also to specialize and do a PhD in food systems and technology. So I can be Dr. Angelina Charia now, which is pretty cool. And as you have heard in my bio, Over my career, I've spent about, I've had lots and lots of roles, and I've had a hand in over 1,200 innovations, which has been from product to process to business models, to making things better in the companies that I've worked in. And this career has led me to work in many, many, many markets. I've worked in fresh salads, which was up in Brisbane, which was all about those salads that you see in the supermarket bags. My PhD was on that, by the way. But then I ended up getting a job to make sure that those fresh salads could find their way into many, many homes moving forward. And there was certainly a lot of science, there was technology, there was innovation, there was manufacturing process that was needed to understand to do that. I then spent my time at Mars, which was I went from designing food for humans to designing food for pets. You'd think that they can't tell you if they like it, but they certainly can. And that role took me to working in Japan, in China, in Southeast Asian countries. It took me to live in country towns like Bathurst and Albury-Wodonga. And really, it was all about how do we help the lives of our pets with great, nutritious food that we could bring. And I had such fun actually working in those markets and leading teams across Asia Pacific, not always in a lab coat either, right? So I then moved on to Fonterra, where it was all about creating great dairy products and how do you actually value add to products. Moved on to Yum Brands, which is KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. And I'm sure many of you are sitting there going, oh, wow, that sounds like a cool role. It was a pretty cool role. It's not just about burgers that you see, but how do we bring some great stuff and innovation through the restaurants of KFC and Pizza Hut back then and Taco Bell to consumers like yourself. And then it was to the House of Chocolates, so Cadbury Dairy Milk, and how do you make Cadbury Dairy Milk that is such a great brand, as well as a natural confectionery company, and thinking about everything from when you're growing cocoa out there on the farms to making it into a block of chocolate and everything in between. And then I had something a little bit, I guess, risky that I did in my career, which really paid off, which was create this World First Innovation Center to help companies to be much more innovative. And it actually got me thinking, rather than just the opportunities and the problems of one organization, but that of every company and food and agriculture business across Victoria as well as Australia. And then after that, I moved on to Simplot, which was all is big frozen food. And I remember in the COVID days, we actually had a global shortage of potatoes. So how do you get chips? I don't know if anyone remembered that. The price of potato went through the roof. And it was, a really fun time trying to figure those things out. I guess the things that I've learned is along this journey is that you have to be true to yourself, know yourself in terms of what you love. And very early on, if you remember, I said I loved food and I ended up choosing that career. Sometimes you may not always know that, but go with what your heart tells you, not always your mind. And if you can correlate the two, then I think you're on a winner. The other thing I've learned is you heard about my 1,200 products innovation and innovations that were successful, right? But behind that is a double number of that amount that actually didn't make it. So it's everything that you learn from what I would call the failures, and how do you then let that leads to your small steps of success. So I guess what I want to leave you today is a scientist, and I studied a part of STEM called food science and technology, is not always in a lab coat. You can be an integral part of a business, you can run a business, you can travel the world with your job, and you can be passionate about what it is that you enjoy and see if you can mesh that into a career by choosing the things that you want to study. Because, as they always say, when you have a career that you love and you're passionate about, you never feel like you're working a day. So, hopefully, that excited and energized you. I am now going to introduce our second. Our fellow panelist, Ishmael Gauteur. And Ishmael is a Swiss Chilean civil engineer in geotechnics. He holds a Master's of Science in Mining and is currently pursuing a Master of Business Administration. Ishmael has more than 10 years' experience working in mining across South America and Australia, on site in technical services and customer facing roles. but most of his career has been related to marketing. So Ishmael is currently the Senior Manager of Global Marketing for Orica, with main responsibilities includes category strategy, new product development, introductions, as well as transactional marketing tasks such as pricing policy, audits, and storekeeping unit management. Ishmael, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Angeline. Very interesting, and I can confirm my dogs definitely have food preferences. That's all true. And thanks for the introduction. You did a very good job with my pronunciation, by the way. Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to talk a bit about my career. I think I only have like 5 minutes, so we'll try to be brief, simplify, and split my career into 3 parts here. So first, I started doing finite element modeling to predict the impact of blasting, right? So you can see and you can imagine was very technical, right? You can see that on the drawings over there. At that time, this was quite unique, I will say, as very few people were doing this type of analysis. However, the downside was that it was often seen as interesting, but not beyond that, because people like question whether the models were well calibrated or if I was considering the correct kind of rock parameters. And to be honest, I was just starting my career, right? And I didn't always understand all of what I was supposed to do back then. So at that time, my boss suggested that I go to mine site. I should go underground, spend some time in the field, and then come back to my work with a better understanding of what I was doing. He said you should be close to customer and spend 2 weeks on the site. So I did that. I went there, but I ended up staying on the site for 3 years. So it didn't go as planned, and I even had to move to another city. So yes, if you are asking me now, yes, I went underground several times, and it was great. It helped me a lot to understand what was needed, where my models could add more value, and also revealed that some things were simply impossible to implement on the field, which was a key takeaway for me at that time. Then after some time doing modeling and all of that, I thought, what's the point of doing all of these modelings if we're not making any real life on-field kind of improvement? This led to the second stage of my career when I had the opportunity to be in charge of a team, and not only to do the modeling, but also conduct field measurements. So I was in charge of a small contract in which we had a kind of a continuous improvement process, measuring results on the field, doing the modeling, calibrating the models, and then changing design accordingly again and again. So improving, we'll say, the overall kind of drilling and blasting process. Very good time. I learned a lot and had the chance to test many things on the field, many different design products, and measure the results, which was very great for my knowledge, but also for my futures. So all of that was based like on all of that experience that I had the opportunity to start the third stage of my career. Why? Because I had spent a couple of years already on the field, tested many things, used most of our product. So I was asked the question, why you don't give product marketing a try? Because you already know our product, right? So I took that opportunity, and thanks, as I said again, to the field experience and product knowledge that I was given the opportunity to transition into this new challenge. And I worked in marketing in South America for about 3 years or a bit more than that. And I was part of a lot of very interesting projects. I participated in several technology rollouts and make some good connection with people from other regions as well. Following that, I then had the opportunity to come to Australia and take on a global role. And at that time, back then, when I was like in South America, thought that after all of these years working in marketing, I knew something about marketing. So I wonder like, how difficult can this be, right? Now I oversee, let's say, one region, then it will be like global responsibility, but it should be similar, just bigger, right? Well, the truth is that it was not. It was very different. What I had been doing in the region was closer to business, which was great, by the way. I had a lot of interaction with customer, but it was more tactical. When I arrived here, I had to think more strategically. I had to think about mid to long term and consider the implication of any decisions, right? Before, the impact of my decision will be limited to a country or maximum 2-3 countries, right? Now it will have global consequences. So everything was more complicated and it was very challenging for me. And I also realized at the time that I had no formal training in marketing. I was learning marketing on the run, and most of the marketing knowledge was transactional marketing, right? Like pricing policies, SKU management, and these sort of things, but not strategic marketing. So I decided to start my MBA to give my work a bit more structure. And that was another thing that was very helpful to me. Now I'm on my 3rd year in global marketing. Already, I have been developing global strategies, and I can tell you, if any of you out there are interested, marketing is a very interesting world, looking at all of the internal and external forces impacting your business, what we need to do to defend our categories, and what else we should do differently with the intention of achieving sustainable growth. And marketing is a very broad term. So most of the time, people confuse it with advertising, but it's not just that. So marketing communication is more like advertising. But if you look into it, marketing has probably around 20 different specializations. So plenty you can do with marketing. That's what I wanted to say. There I have listed there just a couple of points, things that have worked for me and then may work for you, or key kind of takeaway for me so far. So first one is to start with field experience. Uh, I know not everyone wants this or likes it, but I think it's incredibly useful and will help you understand how things actually done in the field. So that's the first one. The second one is about challenging yourself to new things, right? Sometimes you may think like, why should I get involved into this? Or that's out of my scope. I'm just not going to do it. In my case, learning new things has often led to different opportunities in the future. The organization, I think, that see you as someone who can contribute in various different areas, right? Expanding your range of possibilities, definitely. So if you don't want to do the same always, I will probably be a good idea to start learning new things. And the last one is engage in activities now. So I know many of you may think that you don't have time and there are other priorities. Of course there are, of course, but believe me, you have time now. So if I can make it while now having 2 kids, 2 dogs, and also studying, I'm sure you can do it. So that's my 2 cents of advice for you. Thanks, Angeline.
Thank you, Ishmael. More than 2 cents of value. Hope for those who are listening, I'm sure you've got questions. Please start to put them in the Q&A. Let me introduce now Kim. Associate Professor Kim Johnson is a research fellow and lecturer in the School of Agriculture, Biomedicine and Environment at La Trobe University. Her strong scientific background has helped her science, engineering, maths, so STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths, STEM education, outreach collaboration. So where she's co-created engaging educational and community programs such as STEM in Agriculture, Ambassadors for Agriculture, and Taste Tomorrow. As a beacon of education and outreach, Kim is training over 400 exceptional undergrads and higher degree research students, providing outreach to some 200,000 primary and secondary school students during the course of Plants for Science. So curious about this. Kim's work with La Trobe University for Sustainable Agriculture and Food aims to develop more efficient crops for studying how plant cell walls influence growth, and her work will greatly support the Plants for Space goals to make food that is nutritious and enjoyable. Please welcome Kim.
Thank you so much, Angeline, for that introduction. And I want to start with my slide just on the side, which has my picture on it. And this is Place. This is our Plants for Space, so therefore Place magazine. This is the first magazine that we will have, and it's our annual report outlining the activities of this amazing program. So this is, as it says, it's putting plants in space. Why are we doing that? Because missions to the moon and Mars are happening now. And as we have habitation on the moon, we're going to need to feed people. So Angeline's already emphasized just how important food is. It's what we need to survive. So if any habitation on the moon, we need to supply a sustainable food source for these people, but not only to help them survive, but also to thrive, because food is much more than just nutrition. Of course, that is incredibly important, and what we're trying to do with Plants for Space is provide adequate nutrition, but plants and food offer so much more for our mental well-being. So we know being around plants actually improves astronauts' well-being. So that's a project I'm part of that I'm really excited about. And it actually brings together some of the things that, according to Japanese culture, this ikigai, that you need to have satisfaction in your career and be happy. So it needs to be something the world needs. And so, of course, yes, Plants for Space is going to help astronauts, but the whole purpose as well is to make more sustainable agriculture on Earth. So it's something that I value is agriculture and sustainable agriculture, because we need that for our food production. But we know that it has an environmental impact. How can we make it more sustainable? And in a context like space, where you have to use and reuse everything, no resources can be wasted. So how can we have sustainable systems in space? How can that help us on Earth also make our agriculture here more sustainable and efficient? It also has to be something you love. So I love plants. Plants are just the best. They are amazing. They take sun and a few resources and make us food. I think that's incredible. And I've always wanted to understand how they work and how they do these amazing processes. It has to be something you can get paid for. And thankfully, I'm employed at a university, and that is where I can teach others as well as do my research. It has to be something you're good at, and I've wanted to show this because it's been a journey to get to a place, and I'm constantly learning. Similar to what Ismail said, I think you're always learning, and you can always gain new skills as you go through your career. Another reason, not just to highlight Plants for Space project, but also the fact that they asked me to be on the cover, and I sort of went, yeah, okay, whatever. But if I go back to where I started in Mooroopna, I grew up in a small country town in central Victoria, which had a very strong agriculture focus. So it makes sense that I think I went down an agriculture route. But that, when I was younger, I would have said, no way, I can't have my face on that. That's embarrassing. What will people think? So, learning to build my confidence, put myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, has also given me lots of opportunities. And now I've learned to say, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go and we'll see what happens. And just a bit more secure in who I am. But that takes time. I understand that. And so you build your confidence as you learn and get more skills and get to be what you're good at. So just going back to that, where I sort of started. So this, as I said, a small country town with a very strong agriculture focus. So that is when some of my values of what I think the world needs. We need agriculture and we need food, and we need that to have food security to sustain these important jobs. And that's where I've also invested time in passing that on and realizing that we need to train people for these future STEM careers in sustainable agriculture and food. But I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I was good at science, so I did science. I went to university, and that's finally where I discovered my passion and what I loved. So that was plants, and studied some of these plant science subjects. But I did a research project at the end of my university degree, and that was where I found my kind of happy place. I loved that research. I loved being in the lab. I loved discovering. And so that's also how I kind of came to learn to be good at something and take that science that I was good at, but also combine it with what I really enjoyed to do. And that took me overseas. So I did a PhD in plant sciences. I just want to point out here, I took a gap year before I did that. And I think that was important sometimes, that you stop and reflect and think about where your career path is going, because you don't need to rush into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Sometimes it's really good just to take a pause, think about if it's really where you want to go, and then have a clear head when you're going into it. So I did that. I did a PhD, then that took me overseas, and I worked in the UK, in Edinburgh, and then in Norwich for 10 years. And again, I really enjoyed that time where I was doing something I loved and was good at in lab science. But then I had children, and then I returned back to Australia, where I took on a new group leader position. So now I was having to train people. Like Ismail said, you have a team, and so you're having to learn a lot of new skills, because I learned to be a scientist working in the lab, and now I'm managing other people and training other people how to do that kind of research. And that took new skills. And there I got help. And you know, I got mentors and a support network that I could talk to, that could give me advice on how to do that well. Then I continued on in my STEM career, taking opportunities. And something I love is collaborating with people, and especially collaborating with people across different disciplines. So Ismail, I'd love to work with you, because I love working with, you know, people who have engineering or computer science or other areas, because you can really come up with interesting, you can approach challenges in a new way. And Plants for Space emphasizes that, because if we want to have plants growing on the moon, we need to be working with engineers to help set up the infrastructure. We have to be using new technologies. I have to be talking to computer scientists who can help, you know, interpret lots of data for me. And so it's fantastic to be able to work with people from different areas and learn from them, and that continuous learning. Just because I have the floor, I do want to ask everyone in the audience what plant they would take to space, or what food they couldn't live without maybe in space. Yeah, have a think about that and why you would choose that particular plant or food. And just come back to the, you know, that advice in terms of your career. It has to be something the world needs. You know, it has to be something that's valuable for society, something you love, something you can get paid for, and something you're good at. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Kim, and lots of nuggets in there as well. I loved your question that you've posed, so hopefully everyone can put that through in the chat as well. Let me bring Kim and Ishmael back now, and this is now your turn. For everyone who's listened very generously, please put in your questions. I see lots of them popping up now in the Q&A, so continue to do that. While we do that, I'm going to kick off a couple of questions. So Ishmael, let's come with you first. On the back of all of your advice there and tips, what's one advice you'd give yourself back when you were in high school?
Probably to buy some shares, Angeline. But well, we're not here to talk about that. So as I said, I think like two things. So the first one, as I mentioned before, start building your network like early, right? That's the first one. And the second one, and to kind of expand on what I said before, try to gain some field experience. Because as I said to everyone, I work in marketing, right? But I probably couldn't do my current role without the field experience. The reason why is because there will be a significant disconnect between what I plan on a paper and what actually happens in the field, right? My strategy will just be like unrealistic. So that's the first reason. But then additionally, if you want to defend your ideas, you need arguments, right? And without field experience, it's going to be harder. If you're in charge of a roadmap, you need to understand the market and the end user needs, right? And also, very important, the customer willingness to pay a premium, right? Otherwise, you end up with a lot of nice to have, but no one will pay for it. And we need to make business profitable. So that's my advice.
Very good. Thank you for that. Kim, you've already asked the audience about their favorite plant or food that they'll take. So right back at you, what is your favorite plant and why?
Ooh, it's not a food plant though. which it
That's
should be.
okay.
But I love the Venus flytrap. I think it's just incredible because it can move. And for me, it's fascinating that some plants move, because we often think of them as being really, really static. But I think and that was something that captured my imagination, because once I saw that the Venus flytrap can move and respond to its environment, I looked at plants in a whole new way, and constantly am thinking about, what are they doing out there? What are they responding to in their environment? Yeah, they're clever.
Wow, that is a very good plant as well. I think I'm a little bit scared of it though, if it gets too close. And so let's move through some of the Q&A that's coming through. Ishmael, here's one for you. How did you find transitioning to marketing from engineering? Do you miss engineering?
Good question. I don't miss it. Why? Because I'm still using it a lot. That's the answer, right? And believe it or not, very often, I get involved in very technical discussions, right? Which will be, I think, harder to understand without my background. So my advice or challenge is for people to think of marketing a bit differently than just advertising, right? It's way more than that. So for example, if we just talk about product marketing, which is one of the marketing kind of specialization, in product marketing, you own the product, which means that you need to know absolutely everything about the product usage, application, and it can become very technical, right? So no, I don't miss engineering because I'm still using it. So for example, in my case, we talk a lot about temperature ranges in which you can use the product, reactive ground, sleep times, dynamic pressure resistance. All of these terminology, they are closer to engineering than marketing. So definitely, I think that in my case, I kind of complement both marketing and engineering.
Absolutely, yeah. And you have the opportunity to do that, right, in your role, which is great as well. The next question we have is a really good question as well. How can we feed the world population, which will double by 2050, if we have less space to do this with in terms of urbanization, etc.? Kim, you want to have a go?
I'll go with that one. Absolutely. So it's a huge challenge, and it won't be just one thing, right? I mean, changing diets would be a really, really important step, but that's hard. It's hard to get people to change behaviors. And the approach that I guess I'm at the other end, trying to change the plants. How can we make plants yield more and give us more product with the same amount of land? And not only that, how can we do that in the face of challenging climates? And Plants for Space kind of relates to that. Some of it, though, is we're putting them indoors. So we're using indoor farming where we can be very, very intensive, but we can also reuse a lot of the resources like water, so that we're, having less of an impact on our environment at the same time, and trying to protect that land. As you say, we need to protect land for our other biodiversity. How can we do that and balance with the need for more food and nutrition?
That's really good. And if I can add to it from some of the work that I get involved in, I think this whole space of, today we have a very traditional approach to food production. We grow it on the land, and then we take it, and then we harvest it, we produce it, we turn it into something that we all consume at the end. But there's a lot of science now, particularly in the biotechnology, precision fermentation area, where you won't necessarily need all of those, dare I say, plants or animals, to start off with. So there will certainly be ways to use cells, to use yeast, microbes, to be able to create the macro ingredients to make food. And I think, that would mean the future of farms might be very different. The future of factories will be very different. The way your food gets produced will be very, very different as well. So if those who are curious, have a look at precision fermentation, have a look at things like even 3D printing of your food. And these are all new technologies that are coming through, but there's some brilliant minds all over the planet actually looking to solve for exactly that challenge that the question posed as well. So here's one to all the panel members. What's your favorite part of your job now? Ishmael, you want to go?
I can start. I think that first you need to work on very interesting and challenging projects as a start. but that's not the main one. So for me, it's really about the opportunity that I have now on a global role to work with people from all around the globe, right? From different countries, different culture, and learn a lot from them. I will say beyond work. So that's what I like the most of my work at the moment.
Mm.
I think similar to Ismail, the people. Like I'm so fortunate, I feel like, to be able to work with amazing people, not just my own team who teach me new things all the time. Like I said, some of them are really fantastic computer scientists and good at engineering, and that's great. And I love having conversations with them. But like Ismail as well, I love collaborating with people from different areas. That's something that gives me a lot of joy in my job now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. For me, I think it's probably a combo of the two. It's working with such diverse people with brilliant minds, and how do I help them kind of create really big, take those ideas to the marketplace. But the other thing I love is just coming in contact with such amazing markets and consumers. At the end of the day, there's an end use of what we're trying to do. And when you see someone enjoying a meal, enjoying a drink in a restaurant, I just always smile because I go, oh, yeah, somehow we always had a hand in that as well. So that's great. Next question. A Bachelor of Science degree, is that the best way forward for students to get into these careers, or what other options are there? Who wants to pick that up?
The only thing I can comment there is that you can choose different paths, right? And so there's not a single advice. And myself, I'm a geotechnical engineer, and I have never worked as a geotechnical engineer, right? So it helped me and it gave me some tools, but you can change career if you want later. So I don't think that there's a single answer to that.
I would agree. I think you do need some foundational knowledge, obviously, if you're going to go into that career, and I think every experience is valuable. So you may have multiple careers, but wherever your foundations are, they'll be helpful to you.
I agree. I think when I say I'm a lifelong student, so I'm always learning and studying and using it into the practical sense. I think follow your heart, as we've all heard everyone say what you like, and if STEM happens to be the first career, the first study of choice you pick, then absolutely. But there's so many multiple pathways that you'll get there. But given we are here talking about Stella, I'm actually going to advocate do pick a STEM subject, because we need more and more people who can help solve some of the things those challenges that we've got. Here's a question, Kim, for you. Kim, how long did it take to find a job where you could use your qualification to work with plants?
Well, I studied for a very long time. I guess that's the other thing. So I did my university degree, then I did my honours degree, then I did my PhD. So by the time I'd actually got to the UK, where I was really I'd say like you're always learning and training as a PhD. You can consider it kind of a job, but my first real job was, I guess, after that sort of 8 years of study. So it took me a while, but I was throughout that PhD and honours, I was working with plants and researching plants. So absolutely, always that's my love. It's still my love.
Yeah, you can tell. And then maybe this might be our last question. What do we think will be the biggest challenges in food production in the future that we need to solve?
Probably for you, Angeline.
But please jump in. I think probably very similar to the other question that we had there. I mean, some big challenges, right? We live today in a world, and everyone's sitting here watching what the global geopolitical, I guess stance is doing. That impacts our food security, and food security is about how we're gonna not just source food, but actually turn it into ingredients into food. And the fact that we live in Australia, which is also very far away as well, while we can, grow food to feed 70 million people today, but in the value-added space, we do certainly need a lot more, opportunities, I think, in that. The other big thing is, while we have food security and we have a lot of food, by the way, we waste, all of us as consumers, about 40% of food on the end where we experience things in our country, right? But we also have a lot of people that we cannot feed in Australia as also around the world. So somehow, you know, the equation of what we have and what we don't have and how we solve for some of these things are huge. And of course, science and technology is going to be really, really critical to helping us solve for a number of these things. Because yes, while Kim is, you know, developing the plans for the moon and Mars, hopefully we have those options out. But at the minute, we only have one planet. And I think, you know, everything that we can all do, even the very smallest step, to encourage us to really think about how privileged we are with what we can go and buy and have. And it's not everybody in the world that can do that as well. So hopefully that answers the question. I think we're at time. I must hand back to Georgie, who is very patiently waiting. Please thank Ishmael and Kim for a really, really interesting conversation. Thank you. Over to you, Georgie.
Thank you so much, Angeline, for your time and amazing contribution to today's session. And thank you once again to Ishmael and Kim. It's so inspiring to hear your career journeys, and what a great discussion for our audience. Thank you also to all of you in your classrooms and offices that have joined us today. We hope that you have something to take away from this session that has left you with a better idea of how many different careers you can pursue using Earth's natural resources to help build a better world. Please join us for our next Shape Your Future on May the 22nd, where we'll explore careers linked to chemistry, from molecules to machines. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.